won't, but if you do, don't hesitate.
Do you have anything to comment on that?
No.
Okay.
We need to go back,
We need to go back and do our,
minutes.
approve the previous meeting minutes.
Yes,
Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
yes, so moved.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
There was no correspondence. Mariana, did you want to speak?
Okay, I'm sorry. The one thing, I know that there's like 4 different things on the agenda today for dealing with the floodplain issues. And it kind of distresses me that Ralph and Dan aren't here for this, although Mr. Tennant is. But I guess such as it is. Thanks.
Well, and I probably should have mentioned this. Both of them are at a floodplain conference up in Canaan Valley, and they are learning. Dan, as I understand it, Dan is planning on taking the exam tomorrow to be I believe it's a certified floodplain coordinator. Butch will be back this evening, but they are both up there in a conference about the floodplain in the state.
Thank you.
Doug Gilmore.
When Mariana had that letter with all the signatures asking about a moratorium on drilling in this county, nothing ever came of it, you know, and it's not a complete ban we're asking for. I thought it was a moratorium to stop the drilling until it could be done in a safer manner. And Mr. Robinson, when you came to my house campaigning, I asked you about that. Before you were even commissioner, you indicated that that would never happen. And I don't see why we can't do it just because there'll be lawsuits against it. It would bring a lot of what's going wrong with all this drilling to light.
Yes, that was what I said to you when I came to your home campaigning. But if you recall, if you were here the last couple of 3 meetings, the oil and gas industry has, I won't say threatened, but they've indicated that because of passage of the floodplain ordinance, there would be suits filed.
Isn't that the way government works? You file suit.
The point that I'm trying to make is, the threat of lawsuits is not, and I only used that talking about royalty owners or mineral rights owners. I used that. However, when we are elected officials in a particular county, and this is something that I ran on, is I want to represent everybody, not just a few, and so that means that I have to represent the mineral rights owners also. And they have concerns, they have desires, just like you all do. And I can't separate their wants and desires.
Have they come with a letter with a lot of signatures?
Say, please draw on
That would be something that we wouldn't have control over once again. As far as encouraging drilling, I guess my position, and I've said this many times, that all rules and laws from the state and federal should be observed. And if they're not, then it's up to someone to point that out and, like Mr. Tennant said, to speak to the proper people. But, once again, you know, we have to represent everybody. And that's what I'm trying to do. And I'm sure Shirley is too, and I'm sure Butch is too.
I'm going to the basic all the way. This is the county commission, and I know being a resident of the county who's being plagued by drilling and all this stuff, you know, our basic right is to be safe in our home, to have safe air to breathe. And when the, you know, some took that away from us by letting these guys not have to apply by that, we are trapped in our own property. And our basic, you know, most of the people here that I look at are just wanting to be safe. They're not saying, I want rich, I don't want this, I don't want that. They want to be safe, they want their water safe, they want their air safe, they want their home safe. And I look here and I think, you know, I'll be done with County Commission. I had a lawsuit with JB, and you guys just, we're gonna find out. I went to DEP because they're putting a well in my field that floods. I got noticed the day I seen the stakes in the field. I said, what the heck is going on? Oh, they're putting a well in here. So they came to my house, and the landman literally threatened, you're going to sign this, we're going to give you $15,000, we're starting next week, whatever. I'm like, wait a minute. That's not the way it goes. I have rights. You guys have, of course, on a well, I'm supposed to be able to comment, you're supposed to notice me. Guess what? Didn't happen. Called DEP, they gave me 30 days. So I took my pictures, I went down, I said, listen, I'm a landowner. Every permit that they turned in to DEP was fraudulent. There is not my name mentioned. They said they tested everybody within 1,500 feet. I'm serious. I'm 900 feet from that well, and they never noticed me. They turned off the safety plan. Yes, we've noticed everybody on here. No, they didn't. And third of all, they go ahead and they say, well, we're going to go ahead. We don't have a floodplain. It's not the ordinance. I called DC. I called Philadelphia. I've been on the phone with Charlie Sneed from Charleston. It's not in a floodplain. And why isn't it? Well, they only came so far off of Middle Island, and they stopped because they didn't have the funding. Well, can I put in a request? Can you come and test this? Well, we don't have the funding. It's going to be 2 years at least before we can get there. Well, that ain't going to save me, my water, or anybody else up there. So I go to the DEP. Yes, they were not. Guess what? Last week, when you got yours from the floodplain, JD got his. You know what he did the day he got it? He went straight to the courthouse, filed a restraining order against my husband and I because we actually asked permission. That's my 3-acre field. It's time for hay. Our guy called and said, hey, I'm bailing. Can I go ahead and build your field? You know what? We don't have a permit. They never got anything from writing me. Go ahead and build that. They put that as an act of aggression. We have a restraining order. They're filing a suit against us for tortious interference because we held them up for 30 days. And that cost them money. And I'm thinking, there's nothing legal about the whole process. When you say go to the DEP, I'm like, okay, how in the world they get their permit at like 3 o'clock and at 6:30 they're in the courthouse filing a suit? You know, and you know how they notice us? On Friday evening at 7:30, a landman from JB shows up, hands me the papers. I have to report to court on Tuesday, the day after Memorial Day, at 9 o'clock in the morning. Well, guess what? My lawyer's out of town because he's in Maryland, which is great. It's Memorial Day weekend. You guys need to, I'm serious, I mean, I'm learning a lot. I have researched Manny Penny out of Charleston, awesome guy working on rights. Mr. Man, awesome guy. But it starts here, and if it means every time they put a paper notice in there that they're going to start looking for these people, get a hold of these people. They've got to say no until you do it. You know, I agree, it should be safe. You know, I'm not against the whole oil industry. I would be a liar if I said I was. I have 2 sons who are engineers in coal mine. It's a dangerous job. It's a dangerous job. When they went for engineering, I never once thought about them being in a coal mine. I have 2 sons that are well tendered that work for a company. My daughter's an astronaut that works here. Daughter-in-law, I should say. I'm not against it, but I am against unsafe practices. You know, if you guys have heard of Skylert, JB was turned in yesterday for putting, I think, fuel in a creek a half mile from my house, which feeds into Middle Island. You know, we cannot sit back and be quiet. I understand because I am 600 feet from a poison pit. Now, the only thing the DEP did do, and I thank God for this part, is they did not let them put the pit there in the flood zone where it floods, because I had the pictures of that 4 foot of water where they're putting the pit. So now they've got to put tanks, they've got to do this, you know. But how in the world can a company who is supposed to be regulated by DEP, who's supposed to say, you have to have permission to enter somebody's property to survey, they did not do that. They have to have permission to, you know, when they're supposed to be putting access roads, if it's on your property, they're supposed to come to you, you're supposed to have the right to comment. Now, I was denied all of that as a surface owner. 20 foot of that pad is on my property, and the whole access road. Now, when I get there, it's really cute, because I have to go to the support. They show the judge, well, Judge, we're only going to use just just a little over an acre of the Jackson's 3-acre field. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, right. You know, they lie, so and it's just blatant, everything comes on their mouths. It's like, I'm sorry, it's blatant lies, but they show this nice field in just this little section. Well, the road's 50 foot wide. And of course, they just, you know, he said, and the judge, bless him for this one, asked, is this the map you sent to Charleston? Well, no, Judge, we wanted to just show you in relation how much of this field we're using, and we don't understand why they're complaining. Well, did you tell the judge that you're going to put housing for 20 men in my front yard? You know, and you're actually going to run generators on top of that besides everything else that makes noise because you're 600 feet from my house? And, you know, did you tell them, and the other thing we asked the DEP is, it's supposed to be by law 100 feet from the creek in the line of disturbance. Well, I live there. I know how close it is. I got, like, you know, I'm sorry, I walked it, I took the measurements. You know, I asked them, I said, what did they put on their paperwork? 105 feet. And I'm like, you know, when you can't get the DEP to do their job because they've got all this oil money pushing behind them to let these permits go through. And then you go to court, and you know what the lawyer, the last thing he said to the judge, and I will get the court record, I'll copy it. He says, and you know, Judge, he says, we've already paid a hefty severance tax to your county. And I'm thinking, oh, you know what? And my family has lived here for over 100 years, and we've paid state taxes because we've all worked our butts off, and we've paid county taxes, you know. And for me to have a restraining order, it's almost like, you know, my husband's like, look, I'm trying to keep him from having a heart attack. Because, but, you know, a restraining order, and their thing was because we took the stakes out of the field to hay our field. It's ours to start with, but we had no notice. And the guy who mowed the hay asked them specifically, hey, I'm going to be up here. Yeah, go ahead. It'll be fine. But yet, I have a restraining order, and I have to go back to court because they want to put a permanent restraining order and an injunction that I can't file an injunction.
Let me ask a question.
I'm telling you, if I can, if you can make it safe, get, you know, people, we never got notice, and like she said, it's in the wrong thing. They said, well, we put it in the paper. You sure did. The coordinates weren't right. There was no name on the well. How many people know the coordinates of their house? You know, how many people? So
Coordinates they put in the paper are military coordinates. They don't run off of normal GPS. They're probably right, but they're probably
Do you
just,
see those?
they use Easton's.
Said something about the nether, northern.
Yeah, that's fine, but they're probably right, but you just gotta convert them over to normal GPS.
Well, you can actually use Google Earth, you can plug them in.
Yeah.
Well, it
That's why the
actually
coordinates are never right.
circle it and said wrong coordinates.
Yeah, that's,
And that was on their application.
I just gotta ask you a question. Okay, we got JB Oil, who is suing the county commission because in order to protect the floodplain, you issued a stop work order, because they had not gotten a floodplain permit. Now, I gotta ask, why aren't you suing JB Oil for damages because of what they're doing? And also EQT and the floodplain issue where they went, I mean, this bully boy tactics that we're seeing from the industry, and that's my personal opinion, but it's obvious it's got everybody running scared of getting sued, the county commission in order. And we know the issue is about Charleston and what they're allowing happen from a precedent that's been going on for 150 years, that mineral rights trump surface rights. But that doesn't mean they have a right to drill anywhere they want on that mineral if it's jeopardizing other people's quality of life, property values, their health, safety, and drinking water. Because it's a fine line that needs to be worked out. But in the meantime, you've got EQT suing the county commission. But then we find out EQT used Navitas Engineering to check when they were licensed to do engineering studies. So you should be suing them because they're not doing procedural things right. Don't be bullied by these lawsuits that you're afraid to represent the people, all people, including mineral holders. Because the mineral holders, unless they're living in some out-of-state place, should have at least an interest in what's happening in our floodplain. And one other point, you got Morgantown who tried to do a moratorium and they got threatened, and Corky DeMarco said, it's a takings violation, an unconstitutional takings. Well, what about the unconstitutional takings of our surface? Because this is not conventional drilling. This is a whole new playing field and it needs whole new rules. So until they're implemented, we need to proceed slowly and protect everybody. So what the Morgantown people did, and you guys as commissioners have that power, is zoning. What can and can't be done in certain areas. County commissions can enact their own zoning, and that's how Morgantown got around it. So if you don't want to see 8-acre well pads going up against somebody's stream or right up to their doorstep, issue zoning about industrial operations so many feet from floodplains and all. It's not, that's within your power, and I don't think it could be challenged successfully in, the West Virginia Courts of Appeals, because you're protecting the citizens and you're using a common sense approach. So, keep that in mind. You're being sued right and left by these giant corporations with their Philadelphia lawyers. And these guys have been at this for a long time. You should be countersuing because JB apparently went ahead, plowed full speed ahead without a permit, and they violated a policy. And they have harmed, as a result, you guys on behalf of the citizens should be suing them. And same thing with EQT. Find out about Navitas Engineering and exactly how they went about obtaining that floodplain permit. Okay? That's all I'm saying is you guys have a lot more power than you think.
Well, just in response, number one, EQT was never granted a floodplain permit. Okay? It was denied by the floodplain.
It was permitted and
was.
taken away. It was given and then taken away.
It was,
And then they
but
sued about the process.
ultimately, in the process, EQT was not awarded a permit for the Huff Farm. Okay, that's number one. Number two is, my opinion is that the county commission does not have a legal cause of action against an entity that unlawfully begins to drill in the floodplain without coming in and receiving a permit.
And why do you think that?
The property owner may have a legal cause of action, but the county
It's
doesn't.
a county's ordinance they violated, not the person's ordinance.
With all due respect,
Okay, but
I went
see
to law
what-
school, I've been practicing law for a few years.
Well-
I don't see a legal cause of action vested in the county commission to pursue damages in that situation. The property
they can go in and violate
owners may have another option. They may have a cause of action, but not the county commission. So I don't believe that the county commission has authority to sue or countersue those entities.
That's right.
The county ordinance is in place.
Okay, what about our prosecutor? We have a county prosecutor who represents the commission. They have violated a county ordinance. So they should be prosecuted.
There are provisions within
Okay,
the
so
old
do it.
ordinance and the new
That should
ordinance
exercise
for
power.
that type of action. And,
In other words, these bully boy tactics are one-sided. They got to be both-sided.
Chris Arnold, you're next.
I have something to say. I want to know who gave them permission not to stop at a stop sign. That's what I want to know. I want to
They
know
don't
who
stop
gave the
anywhere.
oil and gas companies permission not to stop at stop signs.
Not me.
That's what I want to know. I was on 50, I was going home, I was at Jaco Hill, I was almost to the corner there at Jaco and 50,
Get a webcam,
and they
yes,
pulled right out,
$30
big tractor trailers, and I was so mad, I didn't get the name of the company. And I couldn't get in the left-hand lane because I had a car in the left-hand lane. And now everyone, there was 4 of them, the oversized load pickup truck, it pulled over to the side of the road, to let me, and those trucks just came right out, one right after the other.
That's all right, Chris, we'll come get you.
I recommend everybody get a $30 webcam cam that you can put, a dash cam, you put it right in your dashboard, plug it into your cigarette lighter, film your drive to town, and if you see anything, great. If you don't, erase it and do it the next time. And if you see stuff, you gotta document it so you can turn it in. Because it's treacherous on these roads.
Ryan Haas, you're next. Okay, that concludes public comments.